What's your name, sir?
My name's Gary.
Wait, Gary. Yeah. Where you? It's got gin in there.
By the way.
Who is?
Gary's.
Why?
Because nobody's calling their baby.
Imagine being called Jeremy. That's really crap.
No, it is.
Gary's not great, but Jeremy's awful, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Jeremy. That's it. Jeremy Bear on the front of the Sugar Puffs advert. That's about it. I thought it was Nadine Dorries for a moment in the blue. Have a look. No, it's not. Right. Gary, where are you from?
Sutton Coldfield.
Oh.
Royal Sutton Coldfield.
Well, councillor or just a supporter?
A supporter at the moment, yeah.
And what have you made of the conference? I've been running around for 2 days, and I have to say that the different ages, the different demographic is a real inspiration, I think, for many.
It is. What a breath of fresh air. What a breath of fresh air for this country. I'm hearing all the right things. I'm meeting all the right people, and I think reform has got it. What it takes.
And you're friends with this man who thinks it's all right to drink at lunchtime?
I am, yes.
Hold on a sec. Matt Roscoe thinks it's all right to drink on a Saturday at lunchtime. What do you do, sir?
Well, I'm hoping to be a councillor next year.
Yeah.
We've got elections in Birmingham and sort of Coalfield, so yeah, fingers crossed.
What's the vibe in Birmingham for reform, do you think?
You know what? It's really positive. There's loads of areas. I mean, you see all the flags that are up now. You know, Sutton, they're up in.
Can't put a flag up, can you, without being arrested? Oh my God!
So sorry.
I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Lembit Opic's in the house. Are you changed parties again, man?
What do you mean again? Still, you know, I go where the money is. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. I'm 60 years of age now. Still,
Same here.
Still doing
Same
this
here.
madness.
But it suits you.
Have you moved to Reform?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. No, I stayed here, and Reform came to where I was. They moved the entire party so that I could join it. Yeah.
Just being here for the last 2 days, I've said it's been really interesting looking across the different demographics. There's a real feeling, I think, of hope. What's your take on it?
Exactly the same. I'd given up on politics because I couldn't see any party that represented me. And fair play to Nigel. He's exactly the same off stage as on stage. You know him well.
Absolutely, I do.
That's the difference. You know.
I said the other day that I think a lot of politicians, and this isn't aimed at anybody, I think a lot of politicians enter politics and they purport to be perfect or squeaky clean. That's not ever possible, is it? And actually I think the British people aren't bothered about that. I think the British people want answers and they want solutions.
Totally agree. I think this is the perfect party for imperfect people. We're all imperfect.
Are you going to stand?
Probably, but I'm not sure where. Whatever Nigel thinks is best. Really, I do training. I train people, and I've made every mistake in the book in politics. I want to make sure this party doesn't make those same mistakes.
And what was the best thing about I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here is there are vicious rumours that I'm going on it this year.
Yes.
I'm not.
Oh yeah, well he's obviously
I'm
going
not.
to go.
I'm genuinely not. I'm not. Never. Can you? Really?
You'd love it.
No, I wouldn't. I might like the money.
The best thing is the diet. The money's not bad. The best thing is the diet. You just lose weight. I've got all this. You don't need to lose weight.
Precisely why I'm not doing it. The legend that is Lembit Opit. Thank you very
Good to
much
see you,
indeed.
yeah.
He's going to stand for reform. Come for me. Right. Oh, hold on.
A new Lancashire County Council.
New Lancashire County Council.
And he's never been interviewed before.
Leon. Well, you haven't been interviewed. You're a county councillor. How did you manage to do that then?
Skill.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right. I was saying it's a really interesting vibe in this hall. Never been to a party conference myself before, but this doesn't feel like I sort of believed it would feel.
Well, the other parties are very stale.
Yeah.
Reform's not.
Have you been inspired by being here?
Yes, as the last April one as well, for the campaign launch. That was electric. This one is even better. It's got loads of stalls about. Lots of information that's new to us all.
Have you had food?
Barely.
Everybody has had
It's
food.
like a wedding day. It's like a wedding
It's like
day.
a wedding day there, isn't it? Whereabouts are you from?
Liverpool.
Whereabouts?
So I'm in Lancashire now, but I was born in Liverpool.
Whereabouts?
Kensington.
Kensington.
Yeah, I moved to Novice Green.
That's quite posh there. Listen, good luck with your job. Leon Graham, a Scouser, who's a councillor in where?
West Lancashire West.
Aspirations to continue to climb the political ladder?
If it takes me, then yes. It's something on the horizon, possibly, but for now, I'm focused on the residents and getting what's better for them.
Good man, fantastic. That's what reform's all about. Thank you very much indeed. Might need to buy the blue tie. Just say purple.
I thought it stands out a bit.
You need to do what this man. Got 4 minutes for anybody who's thinking, how long is this crap going on for? 4 minutes. Who am I after now? Right, hold on, come with me. Honestly, I feel like I have to go where I'm told. Hello?
Hello.
George, how are you?
I'm the leader of Warwickshire Council.
Come with me, Georgie, over here. Away from all the people.
I ain't got a T-shirt yet.
Did you not get one?
No, I haven't got my name on one yet.
I just, Nigel, I'm going to do. The reason I've come over here is there's a slight heighter thing, and I don't look so small against you. How old are you?
19.
I've been dying to meet you, right? And I mean that because all the critics of reform would say, and you know what I'm going to say to you, that you are the embodiment of how they can say inexperienced, hasn't lived life. What do you say to that?
Well, I say it in all interviews. There's only 3 qualifications you need to be council leader. You need the confidence of the people to vote you in, and then you need the confidence of the group to vote you in as the group leader. Then you need the confidence of the council to vote you in as the council leader. I've got all of those 3 things, so I'm fully qualified.
In terms of aesthetics, because I've been in television 30 years, you're the leader of Reform's Council in Warwickshire, and you're wearing a red tie. Did you think about that at all this morning? I'm just pointing it out in a nice way.
Yeah, no, a lot of my councillors give me stick about that. I'll be honest.
It's the wrong colour.
It's a lovely colour. I know it's not the right party, but it goes well with this suit.
Listen, you look great. We haven't got long left, unfortunately, for the people. Well, no, not fortunately, I'd imagine. The last 2 days for me have been really interesting to see the age range, to see the demographics socially, and to sort of witness what I think a lot of people are saying, which is there's real hope.
Yeah, last year it was a lot smaller. There weren't as
How
many.
small was it last year?
It was only we didn't have all this. It was only the bottom bit down there. It was so small, but to see that we've had 10,000 people over 2 days.
I know, I've interviewed most of them.
You're shattered. My feet are killing. But the point is, there's so many new people here, so many young people as well, and they come up to me and go, I want to be candidates and all sorts. It's great.
I apparently have to finish. George Finch, you're a legend. What?
Keep going.
Oh, I've got to fill. Right, that means finish. That means... So, Katie, by the way, can I just say this publicly? Katie has been a legend and deserves to be paid a huge amount of money. George Finch, we've now got to fill again. Come here. What's your message to people who... What about the cynics to reform? I mean, after yesterday, the debacle with the current government, reform, Nigel, there was criticism in the press this morning that it was too glitzy, it was too camp, it was too fun. What would you say to that?
I think, look, we've become from 14% in the polls last year to 35%, having 10,000 people over 2 days. That's what this is about. This is a party of future government. Whether that's 2027 or 29, prefer it to be 27.
Well, that was what happened yesterday, of course. Nigel, in his speech, said he was almost putting his party on a war footing and saying, I mean, we all remember what happened to Liz Truss's government, and when the gilt bond markets decide that you're not financially viable, they'll pull the plug. You could argue that this government financially is an even bigger hole.
It could lead to the IMF.
I don't think the IMF have got any money. Right, I'm just going to do this because I'm an honest man, right? I've just been told 2 minutes, right? Okay, crack on.
I think, if the government asked the IMF for a bailout...
I don't think the IMF can afford it.
Well, the thing is, the problem with this government is they're so economically inept that what they need to do is call for a general election, have Reform UK in government.
Well, they're not going to, because presumably there will be a fear that might happen. But for the people here and the people watching the live stream, what is your message to people? What about the critics, the people who go, they don't know what they're doing, they're new, they're inexperienced? You're only 19. What would your message be?
I just think that especially the press, they just need to get on with something else. They're too busy looking. Do you know what it is? They want to stop our success. It's too late. The game's over. I was talking to one of the Tory councillors in Warwickshire. He phoned me up worried. He said, it's done. It's finished. I don't have to campaign on anything. I've lost my seat. The Labour have lost us. Everyone's lost it. It's done. It's finished. Game over.
And for you, politically, aspirations higher than this? You want to be an MP one day?
I think one
of Nigel's newbies? No, that's a new thing I just came up with.
No, I think what I want, what I need to do is we need to...
What the hell was that?
No. We're getting there, but my point goes...
Got to finish now.
Yeah, we're going to finish. I'm going to be the leader of Warwickshire County Council until we finish getting a better deal for the people of Warwickshire.
Good man, George Finch, the youngest Reform County Council leader in Warwickshire. That has been 48 minutes of non-stop madness. It's 2:15. This is Reform UK, the conference 2025. Don't forget Lucy Connolly on the way. Dr. David Bull is next.
Walk on.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. and welcome to day 2 of the 2025 Reform Party Conference here at the NEC in Birmingham. Please now welcome your host and chairman of Reform UK, Dr. David Bull.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. Forgive my friend, the voiceover friend there. He's a very good friend of mine called Mitch. He's called Showbiz Mitch, and he's clearly been drinking wine because he thinks it's the morning. Welcome back to an extremely packed and busy Reform Party conference. Thank you also. And can you just put your hands together for JK for holding the fort over lunch? Now, literally everyone in this country is talking about how this conference is changing the future of Britain and how we are going to become the party of government at the next election. Since yesterday, let me just tell you, since yesterday, thousands more members have joined Reform UK. And there you are. 241,912 people. That means that thousands of people are flocking to Reform UK because we are the best, the brightest party, and so therefore we're doing pretty well, actually. At Reform UK, we pride ourselves in ensuring that we pick the best and the brightest to represent the British people at local, mayoral and parliamentary level. Let me tell you, it's crucial we draw on the wealth of experience that candidates have to offer outside of politics. And this is something I am extremely passionate about. And that brings me rather nicely to our next speaker, who has had quite a journey. She worked as a magistrate for 2 decades before becoming a councillor and then mayor for Cheshire East. She ran in the parliamentary by-election for Runcorn and Helsby, where I first met her and I campaigned with her as well. And let me tell you, I am delighted to say she won that hard-fought election by, wait for this, 6 votes. She is a wonderful person. She is an incredibly hard worker. She is a huge asset to this party. Before I introduce her, let's remind ourselves of her story.
It's been such a privilege to have been elected as the Reform Member of Parliament for Runcorn and Helsby. And I will spend the next 4.5 years working as hard as I can to make sure all of the constituents, no matter how they voted, have improvements in their lives. Whatever it is that they need help with, I am there. The reason I joined Reform was because Reform stands for everything that I believe in, and that is family values, it is community values, and it is, of course, being so proud in this great country of ours. And I believe we should be able to shout loudly about that, to fly our Union Jacks. Only a Reform government will reclaim sovereignty for this country, will reclaim control over our borders. Only a Reform government will take back some of the power that our judicial system has. It's become politicised. Only a Reform government will restore our own energy supplies, making costs to businesses lower. These are all the things that people need to get more money in their pockets, for businesses to flourish, for the economy to be strong. These policies are all going to be in our manifesto, but this is the next step towards becoming the next government of the United Kingdom.
Please welcome to the stage Reform UK Member of Parliament for Runcorn and Helsby, Sarah Pochin.
Wow, thank you so much. Hello, conference. It is an honour and a privilege to be standing here today as the first female Reform Member of Parliament. It's also an honour and a privilege to now be in a position where I can iron Lee Anderson's shirts. He makes such a hash of it. I walked past his office. I said, "Give me the iron, Lee." He was just hopeless. So, and sleeves first, everybody out there. There's a big national debate going on now. But I cannot thank the people of Runcorn, Frodsham and Helsby enough for putting their trust in me on that historic night in May and electing me as their voice. Someone who will stand up for those that have been so ignored by Labour, by the Tories for years. And in 4 short months, I hope that I've done more to put Runcorn and Helsby on the map than any Labour politician has ever done in their previously unbroken reign. My constituents will always be my priority. And in return, I would quite like a 6,000 vote majority next time, not a mere 6. That was a bit close. Although it made for some good headlines, and so many people come up to me and tell me that those 6 votes were their doing, including Nigel, by the way. Nigel was the last one in from door knocking that day, and he tells me that he won that election with the 6 votes. But more by-elections will come before the next general election, and we will win each and every one of them. We will win those elections with real people who have real life experience, who speak from the heart, and who believe in this country above all else. Before becoming the Member of Parliament for Runcorn and Helsby, I had a career in business, something that the Labour front bench can't claim. I was an elected borough councillor and I was a magistrate. I've been married for 30 years and I'm a mother of 2 gorgeous grown-up boys. My life has been turned upside down, changed beyond all recognition, as you can imagine, in the last 4 months. And with that recognition comes risk. The Reform politicians say things that other politicians are not brave enough to say. And with that risk comes security, which I now need, which is weird, although my chief of staff does tell me life would be a lot simpler on the security front if I just walked around everywhere head to toe in a burqa. Sorry. I would make sure it was a turquoise burqa. You can get them, you know, on Amazon. I checked. I did actually want to walk on in one, but Richard Tice said no. He's very sensible. But this life experience has given me, I hope, the insight and the compassion a good politician needs to understand the things that honest, hard-working people really care about. We are a party who will stand up for the issues that most concern the British people: housing, jobs, immigration, public safety, the money in your pocket, and national security. Unlike this government and the last, when we are in government, we will put the interests of the British people ahead of foreign nationals and spend your hard-earned taxpayers' money accordingly. Our new deportation plan is entirely proportionate to the national emergency we face. We are being invaded, and the British people have had enough. Only Reform has the stomach to take radical, uncompromising action, because we care about the British people and what is happening to our country and our culture. We care about parents just trying to do the very best for their children. And we care about those children, their safety, their education, and their welfare. We care about our farmers. We will remove the inheritance tax on family-run farms. That tax that threatens the very future of our farming community. Today, we are launching Farmers for Reform, and there are people outside in the village with turquoise clipboards that will take your details if you're interested in that. But we're launching some interest groups today, and Farmers for Reform is one of them. But we care also about our veterans. We will not let them be prosecuted for simply following orders. We are also launching Veterans for Reform today. We care about our pensioners. We will not let them freeze over the winter. We care about nature and the environment, but at the same time, we will ensure our own energy security by using our own oil, gas, and coal to feed the supply chain. Reducing energy costs to business, because we care about business. We will support small and medium-sized businesses by abolishing business rates on our high streets to support the regeneration of our town centres. We care about a jobs market based on merit. We will put an end to diversity hires. The promotion of individuals because of their collective identity or background is an unacceptable incursion on freedom and meritocracy. Organisations must be able to hire the best person for the job, no matter their sexual preference or the colour of their skin. We care about protecting free speech, but this government is hell-bent on suppressing it. The new Online Safety Act does nothing to protect our children, as the name suggests. It is designed to stop you and me from speaking out. This government is more interested in policing our speech than our borders. When Reform is in government, we will repeal this so-called Online Safety Act because we must fight to keep democracy. Governments are here to serve the liberties of the people, not restrict them. And what of this government's latest Islamophobia definition? We could be prosecuted for saying anything critical of Islam. Whilst we respect other religions, we are fundamentally a Christian country. Are we going to find ourselves arrested and thrown into jail by this new elite police force that this government has set up to monitor our speech, our debate, our views? Well, I will see you in jail because I will never be silenced as I speak up for you and this country. We care about the safety of women and girls. I constantly speak out on this issue and highlight the disproportionate but very real threat faced by us from the invasion of illegal migrants, many of whom hold medieval attitudes towards women and girls. Rape and sexual assault cases have risen dramatically over the last 20 years in this country, in line with the rise of foreign nationals now living in our communities. Women and girls, often very young girls, are being targeted. And however inconvenient that might be for the left to accept, the reality is that it is happening in our communities up and down this country. Let us not pretend we are facing anything other than a national security crisis. This government is giving a platform to those that want to see our society changed beyond all recognition. This summer has seen protests up and down the country. Many of those protesting are mothers frightened for the safety of their daughters. Well, the British people are slow to anger, but we have been ignored for too long. And a government that defies the will of its people is a government that will fall. Only a reform government with our deportation policy of identify, detain, deport will remove illegal migrants and protect our women and girls. I will continue to be a champion for women's safety. Every woman has the right to feel safe at home, at work, and on our streets. On Reform's watch, a biological male prisoner will never serve time in a woman's prison. Reform will never sanction biological males inhabiting women's spaces, and Reform will not allow the early release of domestic violence perpetrators. And we care about crime. We have this summer undertaken our Britain is Lawless campaign with key policies that a Reform government would introduce to restore law and order in this country. Because we are allowing our high streets to be overrun with organised crime. Trading standards teams need to be empowered to shut down these crime hotspots. Turkish barbers, nail bars, vape shops, staffed by a ready supply of migrant workers. Furthermore, we should be prosecuting the landlords that knowingly allow this crime to go on in their properties. After 20 years, I would like to now turn to the courts. After 20 years working in the courts, I speak with experience about the urgent reforms that our judicial system needs to restore the trust of the British people. Our judiciary is now far too powerful, with the ability to actively work to their own agenda, undermining attempts to remove those arriving here illegally, or indeed override the legitimate concerns of local people, as we saw in the recent Epping ruling. The industry of left-wing human rights lawyers will be no more once we leave the ECHR. And repeal the Human Rights Act, both necessary and proportionate steps to reset this country. Enough of two-tier justice, where someone who writes an ill-advised tweet goes straight to prison, whilst an illegal migrant who sexually assaulted a vulnerable teenage girl gets less than half of that time, or a paedophile gets a suspended sentence and is free to roam the streets. We need to address the failing prison service, whether that be overcrowding or lack of training and equipment for our prison officers, because our prisons are dangerous places to work and to reside. But we will not tackle the prison overcrowding by releasing criminals early onto our streets, putting the safety of the public at risk. Instead, we will deport all foreign national offenders from our prisons. And we will build Nightingale prisons in the same way we built Nightingale hospitals during the pandemic. We can do this. It's about the will of the government to do it. Turning to the police, we need to restore the confidence and trust of the British people in our police force, because we need to know that when we report a crime, it will be taken seriously by the police, and that no crime is too small to be investigated. We have had enough of police ignoring shoplifting at a cost of millions to business, enough of police no longer using stop and search to tackle knife crime, because we know how effective this policy is, and we will bring it back with a vengeance. And we have had enough of woke policing, police appearing to sympathise with protest groups that simply do not reflect the views of the majority of the British people. But I am sure that the police themselves would like nothing more than to get back to tackling crime, policing with impartiality, and to protecting the British people. A reform government will address these issues and restore a strong police presence on our streets. Whether it's the judicial system, the prison service, the probation service, or the police, reform will have robust and costed policies on each in our manifesto. So, to conclude, conference, your reform politicians are real, we are fearless, and we love this country. We will take back control of our borders, regaining our sovereignty. We will deport all illegal migrants to their country of origin. We will restore law and order to our streets. We will reinstate free speech. And we will proudly fly the Union Jack from all government buildings and public buildings. Britain, under a reform government, under Nigel's premiership, and based on our principles of family, community, and country, will be great again. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is a consultant cardiologist, and quite frankly, he is a brilliant clinician. He is a vociferous public health campaigner and says he is on a mission to save lives with real evidence-based medicine and real food. He's worked tirelessly against excessive sugar consumption and the overuse of prescription medicines, particularly statins. Now, I know this chap because he worked with me to write Reform UK's health policy. From that, he's currently helping to advise RFK Jr. and the Make America Healthy Action Group. And today, ladies and gentlemen, he is here to tell us how we make Britain healthy again. Please welcome Dr. Aseem Malhotra.
Honour to be here. To Nigel and Reform for inviting me to speak today. Ancient wisdom teaches us that evil is rooted in ignorance. But what's worse than ignorance? The illusion of knowledge. That means that barriers to the truth are often more psychological than they are intellectual. My purpose as a doctor is to do my best for patients, to improve their outcomes. And in fact, this is probably maybe the most important slide of my whole talk. Please feel free to take a picture of it. If you understand this, everything falls into place. This is the evidence-based medicine triad. Developed in 1996, an analytical framework for teaching and practicing medicine. So what does it mean? We use our individual clinical expertise, the best available evidence on a drug treatment, on a lifestyle intervention, on a surgery, on a test, and last but not least, most important, to take into consideration individual patient preferences and values. It's called informed consent. In order to manage risks, treat illness, and relieve suffering. But unfortunately, evidence-based medicine has become an illusion. It has become hijacked by powerful commercial interests. And as a result, we have an epidemic of misinformed doctors and misinformed and unwittingly harmed patients. This is the root cause of our healthcare crisis. What are those root causes? Biased funding of research that's funded because it's likely to be profitable, not beneficial for patients. Biased reporting in medical journals. Biased reporting in the media, biased patient pamphlets, commercial conflicts of interest, defensive medicine, and last but not least, an inability of doctors to understand and then communicate health statistics. Somebody who I describe as a Stephen Hawking of medicine is Professor John Ioannidis at Stanford. The reason I call him the Stephen Hawking of medicine, he's the most cited medical researcher in the world. He's considered to have very high integrity. And in 2017, he published this paper called How to Survive the Medical Misinformation Mess. And he makes the point that 20 to 50% of all healthcare activity in the United States brings no benefit to the patient, is wasteful or harmful. That's quite extraordinary. Why? Again, he reiterates the fact that most published research is unreliable, offers no benefit to patients, and is not useful to decision makers. But why does this persist? Because most doctors don't know that. Medical knowledge is under commercial control, but most doctors and healthcare professionals are unaware of it. And then they lack the skills to be able to understand and critically appraise the reliability of medical evidence. And last but not least, most importantly, patients and families then get inaccurate medical information and therefore cannot make decisions that are going to be important for their health outcomes. Now, there's something really important for people to understand. And I spoke in 2018 in the European Parliament, invited at that point by MEP Nathan Gill. And I made a few very important statements that everybody needs to acknowledge. The pharmaceutical industry have a legal responsibility to provide profit for their shareholders. They do not have a legal requirement to give us the best treatment. even though most of us would like or presume that to be the case. But the real scandals are these. Those who have a responsibility to integrity and patient care, doctors, academic institutions, and medical journals, regulators, collude with industry for financial gain. And in 2018, I said the situation has become so dire that honest doctors can no longer practice honest medicine. This is pre-pandemic. At the end of 2022, and a lot of you may know my story anyway, I published a paper in the Journal of Industry that says peer-reviewed, still stands up to scrutiny, and I basically called for a moratorium on the COVID mRNA vaccines. And I won't bore you with lots of data. I'm going to give you just one particular study that's most important for you to realize. But the reason I bring this up is after I published this paper, the only broadcast media at the time that was willing to talk about it and get me on and report on it as a news story was GB News. So thank you, GB News, by the way, for standing up for free speech. And as soon as I walked out of the studio, I was pleasantly surprised to receive a phone call from Robert Kennedy Jr. And he said, Dr. Malhotra, I want to thank you for your courage. And that's how our relationship, our friendship, our working relationship started. And he listened to me, and I basically essentially gave the whole root cause analysis of the healthcare crisis and exactly why we should pull the COVID mRNA vaccine. So let's get on to that briefly. Now, we talk about levels of evidence, but in the highest quality level of evidence and real-world data, what patients need to understand is what benefit is a drug or intervention going to give them, and what are the absolute harms. And I'm citing here, by the way, what's interesting, the UK, and all credit to the UK for this, is the only country in the world, now it's not been well publicized, that has been transparent, the UK HSA, with the benefits of the COVID vaccine. At the beginning of 2023, it might be difficult to read, but I'm just going to explain it to you. At the beginning of 2023, if you were over 70, you had to vaccinate 2,500 people to prevent one hospitalization with COVID. As soon as you get into the under 50s age group, you're talking about hundreds of thousands. That was the beginning of 2023. Right now, the latest data, even for the highest risk, if you're over 90, is you have to vaccinate 7,000 people over the age of 90 to prevent one of them having a hospitalization with severe COVID. Now, if this wasn't such a serious issue, this would be laughable. We're having debates and discussions prior to this about statins, about people not being told that if you're at low risk of a heart attack, your benefit of a statin at best is 1%. That is where the debate has happened. This is thousands of people, right? Okay, if there was no harm, you can make the case for let's give it to everybody and we'll save some lives. But unfortunately, nothing could be further from the truth. A reanalysis of Pfizer and Moderna's trials, published in the Journal of Vaccine by some of the most eminent independent of industry-influenced scientists in the world, including the associate editor of the BMJ, Peter Doshi, revealed that from the very beginning, the rate of harm from the original trials of Pfizer and Moderna reanalyzed, you were 2 to 4 times more likely to suffer serious harm from taking the COVID vaccine than you were to be hospitalized with COVID. Think about that for a second. What does that mean? It is highly likely not a single person should have been injected with this, what is better described as a gene therapy than as a vaccine. Now, this isn't the only bit of data. Lots of data has emerged since then. And as you've probably heard a few weeks ago, Robert Kennedy Jr., and I've been in constant communication with him, has ended in $500 million worth of investments in the mRNA technology for vaccines, which is a great achievement, I think, for him to do that. His chief medical officer, Stephen Hatfill, told Steve Bannon, he was involved in this, he called it a mega-analysis of all the data, hundreds of studies, peer-reviewed studies showing the harms of the mRNA vaccine, and he said the side effects of this gene therapy was so enormous and progressive, it was difficult to fathom. The millions of molecules of mRNA entering the cell is creating biochemical havoc, it's disrupting protein metabolism, it's interfering with tumor suppressor genes, it had to be stopped. Interfering with tumor suppressor genes, in other words, it may be a risk factor for cancer. And I've been asked today to share, this isn't just his opinion, many other doctors feel the same way, but one of Britain's most eminent oncologists, Professor Angelique, said to me to share with you today that he thinks it's highly likely that the COVID vaccines have been a factor, a significant factor, in the cancer of members of the royal family. What I'm telling you today is nobody is immune to medical misinformation because of this corrupted system. So let me explain, how did we get here and why have we got here? In public health, we talk about something called the commercial determinants of health. Strategies and approaches adopted by the private sector to promote products and choices that are detrimental to health. Okay? How do big corporations exert their power to influence us, the way we think, what we choose to buy, what drug we take, right? They do it through several mechanisms. They do it through influence of the political environment, by lobbying politicians. In 2012, when we launched Action on Sugar, I remember having a meeting with Jeremy Hunt, and the Daily Mail at that stage did a front-page story revealing that ministers in the Conservative government at the time had had 99 meetings with representatives of the food industry to discuss health policy on food, and 0 meetings with independent scientists. Okay? So the information politicians are getting, I know politicians from all parties, and I speak to them privately, a lot of them come to me for health advice, they genuinely don't realize that they are being manipulated for commercial influence. They control, they have the ability to define the narrative through capture of the media. When I was helping to overturn mandates for healthcare workers for vaccines, I spoke to the chairman of the British Medical Association in December 2021. And I told him what was going on. He said, Aseem, nobody appears to have critically appraised the evidence as well as you have in terms of his colleagues in health policy and senior people. He said, most of my colleagues are getting their information on the COVID vaccine from the BBC. Think about that. The power of the media to shape the way we think, right? And who is ultimately controlling that narrative? Of course, there is also funding of medical education, funding of medical research that influences the bias. And then you've got other tactics, extra-legal tactics that they use to try and suppress or censor information getting out. Character assassinations of people, of whistleblowers, people trying to expose this problem. I've had my fair share. In fact, in the I newspaper today, the fact I'm speaking here today, they got Stephen Kinnock, who I've never met, and they've probably, not even told him exactly what I'm going to say, but they've basically done a story and told him to say that on stage today at the Reform Party conference is a, in quotes, anti-vax conspiracy theorists. Have you heard anything anti-vax or conspiracy theory so far here? No, these are cold, hard facts. This is how business is done. The general population don't know what's happening, and they don't even know that they don't know. Now, let's get to the diagnosis here. I'm a diagnostician as a doctor. One thing doctors do very well is making a diagnosis. What's the root cause of the problem? Over the last few decades, almost all the top 10 drug companies have been found guilty of fraud, totaling billions of dollars in fines for illegal marketing of drugs, hiding data on harms, manipulation of results. One of the most egregious acts was committed by Merck, who in 2011 were fined almost $1 billion for the way that they pushed and marketed their drug Vioxx, which was an anti-inflammatory drug. And in the litigation process, John Abramson from Harvard, who you can see in the picture speaking to Joe Rogan, there was documents released that the senior scientists of Merck, when the drug was being rolled out, which, by the way, was found to cause increased cardiovascular risk by 2- to 4-fold, responsible for the deaths of at least 60,000 Americans. In the original litigation, when the drug was being rolled out, there was an internal email by the executives, sent to the executives of Merck, which said, it's unfortunate about the cardiovascular risk of this drug, but we will do well, and the drug will do well. What kind of behavior would you describe that as? Criminal, yeah, psychopathic actually, and that's not being inflammatory. The person that came up with the original definition of psychopath, Robert Hare, forensic psychologist, in the book The Corporation actually says that big corporations as entities, okay, the way they conduct business actually fulfills the criteria for psychopathy. Callous unconcern for the safety of others, incapacity to experience guilt, repeated lying and conning others for profit. Does that sound familiar? Right? Now, Pfizer, when almost certainly in the summer of 2021, everybody knew that COVID, we can argue the toss about whether it was preventing serious illness and death, and you've already seen figures on that, but we knew that it wasn't stopping infection or transmission. What did they do behind the scenes? They're the ones that pushed the mandates. They funded grassroots organizations, medical organizations in the United States to push that mandates are necessary, and they've made $100 billion in profit. John Ioannidis also says, when it comes to medicine, from his own analysis, the greater the financial interest in a given field, the less likely the research findings are to be true. And when we're talking about one of the most lucrative products in the history of medicine, which is unsafe and defective, and in my view, will turn out to be one of the greatest medical mistakes. And in fact, the mistake is one thing, but the cover-up and suppression of this information is criminal, and people need to understand and treat it that way. So how can we solve, listen, how do we make Britain healthy again? I was involved in looking at all of this, and it's very difficult sometimes to sort out the wheat from the chaff. But essentially, with the medical royal colleges, I campaigned with them to try and improve informed consent with patients and push a lifestyle message. And we calculated, and I published this with one of the chairs of the medical royal colleges, Sue Bailey, in 2018, basically saying that if informed consent was to properly take place, patients choose less treatments, we improve lifestyle, we could save the NHS billions and improve quality of care simultaneously. That's without putting more money into the NHS. And it was reported on in the Daily Express and the Daily Mail on about a patient that basically was a heart attack patient of mine who essentially changed his lifestyle, had fully informed consent, came off all his pills, and 10 years later he's breaking his own records at the age of 60 plus in ultramarathons. That's the potential of what can be achieved just through transparency and informed consent. Okay, I have to wrap up, but I'm just going to finish up. Give me a few more seconds, a minute or so. So what do we do about this? I think it's time to just say no to all new drugs that are being approved. Unless they are independently evaluated, everybody just needs to say no. Over the last few years, it is very clear with the evidence that the drug industry are responsible for probably killing millions of people. And the COVID vaccine, if 1 in 800 was a figure of serious harm, and you translate across the word from the best quality of evidence, then it means the COVID mRNA jabs have likely killed or seriously harmed millions of people across the world. So, from now on, drug companies can develop drugs, but they should no longer be allowed to test them themselves. Our regulator, MHRA, takes 86% of its funding from Big Pharma. How is that acceptable? From these psychopathic entities, right? That is not acceptable. There needs to be independent funding of the regulator. Now, one of the ways that we can fight back, one of the front groups, if you like, unfortunately, of this message has been the World Health Organization that is being captured by Bill Gates, who is its largest funder now. Bill Gates, who made $500 million in investments in the COVID vaccines. Until the World Health Organization become independent, they should be reformed and they should be replaced, and we cannot carte blanche take their advice and act on their advice anymore. And I'm proud to say that I'm the Chief Health Advisor to Action and World Health, co-founded by Nigel Farage and by David Roach. And if there's one person in this country who is speaking up for truth, for honesty, for integrity, who can disrupt the system, and that's Nigel Farage, and we need to get him into number 10. So please help support Action and World Health. Go to actionworldhealth.org. And finally, at the end of this, all of this comes back to the fact that we have deviated as a society, our public officials, from a baseline of integrity. I am proud to be British. I am shaped by British values. My school, Manchester Grammar, which I'm very proud of, its motto in Latin is sapere aude. What does that mean? Dare to be wise. Do not let fear subdue your ability to reason. Action. Knowledge without action is vanity. Action without knowledge is insanity, and we've seen a lot of that in the last few years. But wisdom without courage is fruitless. So remember, it is health that is the real wealth. Let's stand up to this corporate tyranny, and let's overcome this organization of misery. Thank you very much.
Aseem. Well, this afternoon continues at a frenetic pace. Let's just catch up, though, with my friend and colleague, Jeremy Carl, JKK. I can see you there.
Sorry, JJ.
I don't know what you're called.
How excited are you, conference? Lucy Connolly in a matter of minutes. The lady who was jailed for an offensive tweet, Living proof there is two-tier justice. Lucy Connolly here, Richard Tice here as well, Nigel Farage as well before the end. Don't go anywhere, right, Bully?
Yes, exactly right,
Brilliant.
Jeremy. Sorry.
Now,
I'm a bit slow on the uptake this afternoon.
I've heard. I spent all lunchtime whilst you were gorging yourself at the stand where the Farage football shirts went like crazy. And this man, here they are. Andrew, how are you?
And I've got a signed one in that bag as well, signed by Nigel.
Good man. Ooh. What are you going to do with it?
It's going to be raffled for our party, our local party.
I'm glad you said local party, not, party yourself.
Which is Melton and Syston, by the way.
Fantastic. Very quickly, loads going on this afternoon. Andrew, being here, seeing the delegates, feeling the atmosphere. We talked yesterday about there's real hope in this building and it's spreading out across the country. How has this conference made you feel?
Inspired, I think, is the best description. We're talking common sense again, and we're making Britain great again. We want Nigel in number 10 as soon as possible.
I think people... Let's walk. Let's go that way. We're heading down. Lots of people. How good was Sarah Pochin's speech as well? Fantastic. Madam, what's your name?
Sarah Emberson.
Sarah Emberson. Another Sarah. Where are you from?
I'm from Kent. So
Kent.
Yes, indeed. I'm here representing Kent County Council.
You're here representing Kent County Council. Excellent. Obviously, reform, we know, have taken over Kent County Council. There's been a lot written and a lot said. What sort of job do you think reform are doing in Kent?
We're doing a great job. We are doing a great job. We're turning things around. We're making it a more efficient council, and we're saving money for our ratepayers, which is key.
Absolutely right. And just very quickly before we go back to David, there's a feeling, I think, in this conference of hope, as I just said to Andrew, which is spreading out. And you see it. I've spent lunchtime running around. There's all sorts of people. I was going to tell, actually, I don't know if people in the main hall know this. We were doing, David, a live link, and 3 councillors from Solihull came up and said that in the last 15 minutes they changed from independent to reform in Solihull Council. They actually said that, which was really interesting. So a message from you, a reform council in Kent. What is your message to conference?
Well, let's move on. Let's march. Let's pound those streets. Let's get more people on side, and let's get Nigel into number 10.
Absolutely right. And I have to say, Lucy Connolly on the way, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, don't go anywhere. But I think you should also show your appreciation for a man who not only put this all together, but has done a sterling job. Dr. David Bull, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing he's ever said to me, to be quite honest. Thanks ever so much, JK. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Mayor's Question Time. Our first Mayor was a former Member of Parliament, Minister, and, of course, a whip as well. She defected to Reform UK and fought and won the mayoral election in May of this year. Please welcome our Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins. Now, joining her is a true Hallensian. He's Hull born and bred. He's just 37 years old. He has 3 sons with his wife, Lindsay, and he made his name as a professional boxer. And at the 2012 London Olympics, he won gold in the 56-kilo bantamweight division after beating Ireland's John Joe Nevin. Amazing stuff. Now, following that illustrious boxing career, he turned his attention to politics, becoming the Reform UK candidate in the 2025 Hull and East Yorkshire mayoral election. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a slam dunk. He gained 35.8% of the vote, becoming the inaugural mayor of Hull and East Yorkshire. Please welcome our second mayor, Luke Campbell, MBE. Really good to see both of you. I've obviously spent time with both of you on my tours around the country. Andrea, someone who spent time in politics, obviously, at a very senior level, why did you decide to stand to be a mayor?
I mean, it came out of the blue, to be honest, but when I lost my seat last year, I thought I was never going to go into politics again, actually. You know, I'm going to be a good mum, a better mum, spend more time with him. But then it was the god-awful Labour government. And do you remember what they was doing with the pensioners' fuel allowance? And I just couldn't keep away. And I thought, yes, it's very difficult, you know, I didn't want that dual life of Parliament again at that stage in my life. And I thought, I want to be able to get some power to change things and really try to make things different. And it's great being mayor, as Luke knows, to have that power to make decisions.
And has that really sort of made a profound effect on you? Because obviously being in Parliament is one thing, but you're part of a much broader team. As mayor, you are ultimately the person responsible.
And as Luke knows, it can hire and fire. I mean, hats off to Luke, I mean, how many people have you sacked? 12 people or something?
We'll come to that.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, it is truly amazing. I mean, to have this multi-million-pound budget and actually future-proof the economy. I mean, a big thing is skills. And, I mean, even in transport funding, as I mentioned in my speech yesterday, Lincolnshire's been let down by consecutive governments with underfunding, and I want to supercharge that economy. That's why I've got my great exhibition, and to show you that, you know, we're open for business, even though Labour's driving away business, and at least in reform areas we can show that we champion them.
And so just very quickly, if I may, just does this make it much more tangible for you? Because if you implement policies, for example, you get almost immediate feedback. You know how you're doing.
Yes. But I see it as important, like I know Luke does as well. We've had conversations about this. To me, anyone who's elected at this time, we've got a great weight on our shoulders because we want to prove that when reform gets power, we can deliver. And we will deliver. Luke and I will deliver. And we work closely because he's just part of the Humber as well. And it's having that power to do things. I mean, it's so different from being a minister. I mean, with ministers, you cannot sack the civil servants. We need to change this when we get into government and sort the blob out. But to have that power to start recruiting your own team and to really make it to a position where you can deliver. I mean, look, I said about my great exhibition, but I'm building a whole new transport and infrastructure plan for the whole county. As I said, I'm building a veterans village. I'm going to build a new town and make sure the infrastructure's there. And also what I'm doing, David, even though it's not in my remit, you can use soft power as a mayor. I mean, it's an awful statistic that in Lincolnshire, there's only one dental surgery per 16,000 people. I mean, have they been badly let down by consecutive governments? So even though it's not under my remit, David, what I'm doing, I'm invested money in the local university to start training dental surgeons and hygienists, but also I'm trying to speak with dental companies to see if we can start setting up in Lincolnshire.
Amazing. Let's come to you, Luke, because I spent time with you, a couple of weeks ago. Yes, very good. Round of applause for Andrea. So we spent some time together in Hull itself, and Andrea obviously has this amazing sort of political pedigree and background. That is not your story at all, is it?
It's not. It's not my story at all.
So tell us your story. Why on earth did you decide one day, OK, I'll be mayor?
Well, it all started over breakfast. I was out having some breakfast with some friends, and one of them mentioned to me, said, oh, the new mayor's role's coming up, why don't you go for it? So just jokingly, I said, wouldn't that be some story? I said, my community's followed me and backed me my whole career, and now I've got an opportunity to put them first and back them. And it literally just went fireballed from there.
But, well, it didn't, because the other thing that impressed me about you was the passion that you have for the area you represent. The fact is that you told me that you had to get involved because you were sick and tired of people being left behind, neglected, and that because you understood those people, you wanted to change things.
Yeah. Well, from the age of 12, I've always been a part of the community, charities, fundraisers in the world of boxing, was always bringing people together. And now I'd look at things where the council just make decisions for the people, but never with them. So for me, I want to come in and I want to change the narrative on that. I want to start working with the people of our communities and giving them an opportunity of what's going on, what's happening, and what can we do together to make our place a better place to live and to work.
So why, out of all the parties you could have chosen, why Reform UK?
I followed Nigel for about 8 months before it. Obviously not from political background, but I just thought, who's this guy? To me, he speaks a lot of common sense. And then it just went from there.
And so on the day you were elected, could you believe what had just happened?
I won by 11,000 votes in front. So, yeah, thank you.
But did you not have to kind of pinch yourself to think, I was boxing, I'm now the mayor?
Well, for me, it's an aim at the moment. Until I can start delivering for the people of my region and making my communities a better place, that for me will be that moment where I feel like, yes.
And so that for me is the most interesting bit, which is the fighting spirit in you. And I could see that in the interview we did before, which is you've taken the fight from the ring for the people of Hull.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I've never been a massive one for titles. I've got titles. I've had glory. Many. In my previous career. This, for me, is something more passion, more that I love my community. I love where I live, and I want to make it the best place possible.
Fantastic. Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
So, Andrea, so this is sort of micro-politics, but it's also so important, and actually you're so tangible as the mayor, because obviously you live there, you represent these people, they stop you.
I grew up there as well, actually.
You grew up there, they stop you in the shop and say, why haven't you done this, and so on and so forth. What for you is the biggest challenge as mayor, and what is the